5 Asian countries are facing youth-led uprisings in 2025. Asia is witnessing a wave of youth-led political upheaval unlike anything in recent history. Across the continent, from Nepal to Bangladesh, young people are taking to the streets in unprecedented numbers, challenging governments and demanding change. The Sininduba Palace in Kathmandu, Nepal, a symbol of political power for more than a century, is now engulfed in flames. But the fire wasn't started by long-standing political opponents or the military. It was ignited by young people themselves. These uprisings raise pressing questions. Why are Asia's youth leading such dramatic revolts? Could these sparks trigger a broader wave of instability across the region? What do these movements tell us about the future of governance, freedom, and democracy in Asia? In this video, we examine 5 countries where youth are reshaping politics in 2025, their struggles, courage, and the challenges ahead. Number 5. Nepal. Nepal has become one of Asia's most surprising political flashpoints. The resignation of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli was not just about one policy, it was the breaking point of years of pent-up frustration. The immediate trigger was a government-imposed ban on social media platforms, justified as a fight against disinformation. For Nepal's Gen Z, this was a direct attack on free expression. Within hours, campuses and city squares filled with angry protesters demanding the ban be reversed. The movement quickly escalated into a revolt against corruption, inequality, and a political class seen as out of touch. Clashes turned deadly. At least 19 people were killed, and over 100 injured, as police used tear gas, rubber bullets, and live rounds. Videos circulated globally, showing young demonstrators being dragged off the streets. Unlike past movements led by unions or opposition parties, this uprising is driven by Nepal's youth, who make up more than half the population. They are educated, digitally connected, and increasingly impatient with a political system seen as corrupt and ineffective. The resignation of the Prime Minister left a power vacuum. Political parties scrambled to form coalitions, while protesters vowed to continue until deep reforms are guaranteed. Nepal's fragile economy, already hit by unemployment and rising prices, could face further strain. Businesses close early, tourism suffers, and remittances are affected by unrest. The key question is Nepal witnessing the birth of a youth-led democratic era, or the start of prolonged instability? Number 4. Indonesia. Indonesia is facing one of its most turbulent moments in years. What began as anger over rising living costs escalated into a nationwide wave of protests. The spark came when a ride-hailing driver was killed by a police vehicle during a demonstration in Jakarta. Videos of the incident went viral, fueling outrage and turning local rallies into a national movement. Students, labor unions, and women's groups flooded the streets, accusing the government of ignoring ordinary people while lawmakers enjoyed lavish perks. Inflation had pushed prices for food and fuel higher, while MPs were exposed for extra allowances, foreign trips, and luxury benefits at taxpayer expense. The government responded with a cabinet reshuffle, cancelled MPs' overseas trips, and cut some parliamentary perks. Protesters, however, demanded real accountability, transparency, and fairness, not symbolic gestures. This movement is notable for its unity across social groups. Students, workers, drivers, and families all took part. International observers are watching closely. Indonesia, Southeast Asia's largest democracy and economy, faces risks. Prolonged instability could ripple across trade, investment, and regional security. The key question: will these protests force meaningful reform, or will the government rely on old tactics of delay and suppression? Number 3. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is still recovering from its 2022 debt default, which plunged the nation into a severe economic crisis. 3 years later, inflation remains high, jobs are scarce, and ordinary families struggle to afford food, fuel, and medicine. In response to public anger, Parliament abolished all perks for former presidents and their families. No free homes, no fleet of cars, and no taxpayer-funded staff. For many citizens, this represents long overdue justice and a symbolic break from entrenched political privilege. Yet deeper problems remain. Sri Lanka still carries billions in foreign debt, investors are cautious, tourism hasn't fully recovered, and promised reforms are slow. Citizens demand affordable prices, stable jobs, reliable electricity, and functional schools. Without tangible results, even bold reforms risk being dismissed as political theater. International creditors are watching closely. The country's ability to rebuild trust with the IMF, China, and private lenders will determine whether it recovers or faces another crisis. The key question: can Sri Lanka turn symbolic justice into real economic recovery, or will public patience run out before reforms deliver results? Number 2. Myanmar. Myanmar remains trapped in one of the darkest chapters of its modern history. Nearly 4 years after the 2021 military coup, the country is still in a cycle of repression, armed conflict, and humanitarian collapse. Freedom of speech is virtually non-existent. For example, a man was recently sentenced to 7 years of hard labor simply for criticizing the military on Facebook. Armed resistance and humanitarian crisis. Ethnic militias and newly formed resistance groups battle the army across multiple fronts. Entire villages have been bombed or burned, displacing millions into camps or across borders into Thailand, India, or China. Criminal economy. Organized crime is surging. Human trafficking and forced labor thrive in lawless zones, with victims often coerced into online fraud schemes under brutal conditions. Economic collapse. The economy is deteriorating. The kyat has lost much of its value. Inflation is crushing, and essential goods like rice and fuel are scarce. Sanctions have isolated Myanmar internationally, yet the military continues investing in weapons instead of welfare. The key question is, how long can Myanmar's fractured state survive before complete collapse, and who, if anyone, will intervene? Number 1. Bangladesh. Bangladesh is Asia's most dramatic case of youth-led political upheaval in 2025. The movement began in mid-2024 as student protests over a job quota system, accused of favoring elites. Within days, the movement grew into a nationwide revolt, ultimately toppling one of South Asia's longest-serving leaders. Violence and global attention. Police crackdowns turned deadly. The UN estimates around 1,400 people were killed, and entire neighborhoods became battle zones. Videos of students facing live ammunition shocked the world. Political shift. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled to India. A caretaker government led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus was installed, promising stabilization and democratic reform. Student leaders formed the National Citizen Party, signaling a generational shift. Young Bangladeshis are demanding a seat at the table in formal politics, not just in the streets. Challenges ahead. Old parties are regrouping, political infighting continues, and the economy remains fragile. Inflation, unemployment, and disrupted exports threaten progress. The key question is, can Bangladesh's youth turn revolution into lasting reform, or will the country slide back into dynastic politics and broken promises? From Nepal's youth-led uprising to Bangladesh's student revolution, one truth is clear: Asia's political ground is shaking. These protests are about more than just jobs, prices, or perks. They are about freedom, dignity, and the fight for a future people can believe in. History shows a chilling reality. When governments ignore the voices of the streets, collapse is never far behind. The pressing question now is not whether change will come, but how much sacrifice it will take to achieve meaningful reform. So, share your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, share this video, and subscribe. The more people know, the harder it becomes for governments to silence the truth. Thank you for being with us and watching the video. Be sure to like, comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell icon to get new video updates. Your support is invaluable to us.